What's up, Global Village? Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I feel a little bit numb and a little bit defeated. I want to let you in on a secret, and that is that I create many videos that I never upload. Um, and I think part of it is because I have a sense of hopelessness, and another part is that I sort of feel like maybe the video is too much about me and too perhaps revealing about myself in a way that makes me feel overly vulnerable. Uh, I one of the things defining things in my own life that informs my worldview is that small people spend a lot of time talking about themselves and their own lives and the injustices perpetrated upon them and what other people have done to them and all of that kind of stuff. And I, I think I find that to be a waste of human energy, and in a very negative way. I think it creates a kind of an almost a narcissistic downward spiral. I'm a lot more interested in big topics. I'm interested, for example, in where humanity is going as a whole, far, far beyond the limits of my own finite lifetime, which, let's face it, for each of us individually, is just a cosmic blink of God's eye. Uh, we're here for a small moment and then we're gone again. And I don't want to spend my life just obsessing over the small stuff. I want to think about the big stuff, because that is one of the most powerful gifts I think we have, is what we are able to do with our minds, the journeys we can take in our minds. If there's this, as I'm sure everyone knows, and as Albert Einstein has declared with his general theory of relativity, nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. And in terms of the physical world, he is absolutely correct as far as we're able to tell. That is just a fundamental and immutable law of our reality, at least to this point, and to the extent of our current scientific knowledge. I'm not expecting that in my lifetime or in many lifetimes to come we're going to suddenly discover that that's not the case. Warp drive technology notwithstanding. However, I, in a metaphorical sort of way, there is a way we can travel faster than the speed of light, and that is through our imagination. Now, I know that sounds like an absurd thing to say, but kind of bear with me, because I think that it's deeper and more profound than it might sound. We can, through the power of our thought, travel to the other side of the galaxy almost instantly, because we can do that in our imagination. We can take everything we understand about the physical laws, about how gravity works, about how stars, planets form, and we can take that knowledge, and then we can create a counterfactual, and in that counterfactual, go and visit the other side of the galaxy and just create some counterfactuals about what we might see there and what it might be like there. Now, of course, it's not actual reality, but the point is, the mind has no limitations in terms of where it can go to and what it can explore, and it can do so. It can travel vast distances metaphorically in the blink of your eye, and that is a remarkable thing. So, despite the fragile and finite nature of our lives, the gift of our minds is profound and we should never underestimate the gravity, the beauty, the magnificence of that gift, and treasure it every day. Anyway, that was a little bit of a digression, but I think I'm just going to kind of randomly talk about a few things that have really kind of been getting on my mind, and some of them are a little bit trivial and a little bit me-ish, but again, if I'm going to try and think about what possible value I can add in uploading these videos, and it's just my authenticity and trying to just be the real me and share that particular view as honestly as I possibly can bear and have the courage to do so. But anyway, there is a YouTube channel I quite often listen to, amongst quite a few, called Inside China Business. And it's quite an interesting channel. It's very independent, appears to be a very independent one-man channel. And I think it's made by an American who has some sort of import-export business where he has business dealings with China. And he is very upset, I think, about how Trump has sabotaged his relationship and business dealings with China, and how it's impacted his business in particular, but also just American businesses in general, and how much damage that's caused. And he's a very matter-of-the-fact type of person. He's not overly emotional or anything of that nature. He just likes to spit facts. And for the most part, I find him to be quite compelling. I don't find everything he says to be completely agreeable, but by the most part, I think he's on the money. Now, that said, one of his recent videos, I made the comment that I believed Donald Trump was actually going to invade Venezuela. And I said that he was going to do it ostensibly because he wanted regime change in order to take control of Venezuela's oil reserves, so that he could put a band-aid over the economic disaster he has been creating in America, because his tariffs actually haven't worked. He isn't delivering on his promises. The economic life reality for Americans has not been getting better. It's been getting worse, unless you're one of the elite, of course. And so the writing's on the wall. And one way Trump can turn things around is by, taking control of another country's resources and using their wealth to improve the financial situation of America. There's also another reason, and that is waging war against China by proxy. So by effectively resurrecting the Monroe Doctrine and sort of exerting strong arm tactics in the sort of Latin and Central Americas, it then allows Trump to exert more economic pain against China. So, for example, in Venezuela, that would be reducing the amount of oil that flows from Venezuela to China. So that's something he's now going to be able to do. Anyway, I wrote that, so I actually said that this was something that was going to happen because I genuinely believed it was, or at least I felt it was a very high chance. And my comment was quite well received, but also sparked a lot of debate and comments, and a lot of obfuscatory stuff as well. A lot of people saying, that this is an issue that goes far beyond Trump, and that I'm just being naive if I think this all started with Trump, which is a straw man, because I never said it started with Trump at all. I think the qualitative difference with the Trump regime is that he is ostensibly an out-and-out authoritarian. So he is eroding, say, for example, media. So, news reporting, anyone sort of daring to produce reports that speak out against him in traditional media are finding themselves under fire. He's trying to take control of mass media in a way that's quite similar to what Putin did decades ago, which is again just a playbook out of an authoritarian. So that is a qualitative difference from the Democrats, whom I also detest anyway. So let's just be clear about that. But the interesting thing was, I decided, perhaps in quite a petty way, I thought, shit, I'm going to go back to that comment I made and just add another comment in there saying, I told you so, because, it's happened. Nicolas Maduro has been literally kidnapped by America and taken into American custody. This sovereign leader has been basically just taken, spirited away without any congressional approval, by the way. So I wanted to just kind of gloat about that. So I went back, and wouldn't you know it, that comment is just gone. I searched high and low, I went back to my history, and it has been literally removed. Now, I don't know whether the channel creator removed it or whether YouTube removed it, but I suspect it was YouTube. And I want to speak to another channel I listen to called Patrick Boyle. And Patrick Boyle talks primarily about sort of economic happenings in the world. So his channel is quite dry. There's nothing particularly controversial about his channel, although he has quite a sharp wit, and he's a very factual based individual who will call a spade, and he made a few videos recently that touched on the Epstein scandal, and it turns out that any video he's made on that particular subject has been pretty much instantly demonetized. And so he just made another video talking about the recent demonetization of his latest video, which he said was tracking to be the most popular video he had ever created. And then all of a sudden, it got demonetized, it flatlined in popularity, and obviously this made him feel a little bit upset. Now, his speculation on why that happened, I felt, was a little bit naive. He was not really directly attributing sort of any kind of sort of political interference in the video. In other words, the fact that it was about Epstein was not specifically the reason why it was demonetized, but rather the simple fact that it was touching on something that's potentially sensitive to advertisers, and therefore it just got hammered by the algorithm. I actually don't believe that. I believe that what is happening in YouTube is a little bit more deliberate, in as much as I think YouTube itself is becoming quite beholden to state interests, a la the current American government. And I think there was nothing inadvertent about what the demonetization of his videos, but that it was clearly becoming very popular. It was about a subject that was sensitive, and I believe a very clear and intentional decision was to just strike it down, despite the fact there was no profane language in the video, there was no copyrighted material, it was just Patrick talking. There was absolutely no justifiable reason for demonetizing the video, and that was one of the points that Patrick was pointing out himself. So it's very hard to understand why that video got demonetized, because it shouldn't have been picked up by any kind of AI bot, demonetizing sensitive subject matter, other than the simple fact that it was about Epstein and the video was going viral. Anyway, that's my feeling on that. I have a lot of contempt for YouTube. I think I've spoken to that in the past, and I continue to have a tremendous amount of contempt for it. I'm quite glad of the fact that I not earning any money through this particular channel, nor would I ever have any ambition to do so, because it means could care less about monetization. I just don't care. I mean, there is the reality, of course, that videos I create probably have almost zero reach, and I understand that. But a large part of what I'm doing here, I think, is just for my own sanity. I'm talking into the void because I just need an outlet. I need to just kind of say, what the fuck is going on, people? And just try to talk through the insanity happening in the world right now. Now, with regards to Venezuela and what's happening, I'm not going to try and break that down in any detail. Instead, what I'm going to do is simply link to a video which will point to a YouTube channel that I have a great deal of time for. This is a guy called Ben Norton, who has been commentating on the sort of geopolitical wranglings in the sort of Central and Latin Americas for well over a decade. And he brings a level of lucidity and clarity to his commentary, which I find extremely compelling. And this wasn't immediately apparent to me because his videos are a little on the dry side. They're not overly sensationalist, but his information is incredibly well researched and informed, and he calls a spade a spade. It's unapologetic journalism. There's no doubt about that. It is well worth listening to in terms of just really getting a full understanding of what's happening, why Trump is doing all of this. If you just need further clarification and understanding, it's an excellent channel. Anyway, I think I've said all I want to say, and I'm going to stop there. Bendy out.